Statisticians call them the measures of central tendency.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast that just ain't typical. I'm Donna. This is my brother, Eric. On my screen, he's over there. And we are the Real Siblings. We are both professional. Just give me a minute, Eric. We are both professional realtors with Keller Williams. And we combine lifestyle together with real estate. And so today, you guys, there is another real sibling, another younger than me brother, who, by the way, please just give me accolades and tell me I look younger than both of them. I don't have that gray beard.
Okay, yeah, you do.
The bald heads and the gray beards. Our goal here is to communicate, educate, connect, and entertain the listeners. And while the topics do vary and our conversations go in many directions, like just happened, we work to provide our listeners with insights into the industry, better equipping them for their next real estate transaction. So, Eric, why don't you introduce Ken, since you're the one that invited him?
All right. So Donna pointed out there's another real sibling with us today. The brother that falls between the two of us, who will in 6 short days be celebrating his 64th revolution around the sun.
Why is everybody trying to make me older than I am? I'm turning 63.
Are you only 3 years older than Eric?
Yes.
We're not right now.
Are you sure?
Right now, I'm only 2.
I remember when Mom and Dad couldn't think how old we were, and I was like, what's wrong with you? And now I get it, you know.
So we are doing, this is going to be maybe markets on the eights less. It's been a while since we've done one of these episodes. Last time we did record, which was honestly before the end of 2024, because the next one should have been when I was still recovering and in the hospital. So we didn't record then. We've missed an episode, but it's 6 months in, close to it now, that we need to do an update. My brother Ken, our brother Ken, who is, are you a regular listener? Or do you listen occasionally?
Well, what does that mean? Does it mean that I wait with bated breath for every episode to come out? No. But it does mean that every time I've heard every episode.
So, and the reason I asked my brother to be on as a guest is he had made a telephone call to me as a listener and someone who provides critical evaluation of our content. He felt like we were not being very clear.
In other words, I'm picky. I'm very picky, just like so many of us in our family.
He had pointed out that maybe our explanation of and use of average and median as we just toss it around an episode. And I thought he did a really, really good, eloquent job of explaining median versus average. And as a result of that, it's like, you need to be on an episode with us. So here he is. Say hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
You saw that? That was too obvious.
Go ahead. If you had your drums with you, you'd give us a rim shot too, right? So with that being said, like and being markets on the 8, I'm just going to do a blanket statement. Donna, you can jump in, tell me if I'm mischaracterizing, but we are, for the first time in a decade, a buyer's market pretty much across, certainly across the state of Texas, across our region. That means that buyers have more choices. They have more negotiating power, and that has ultimately lowered, in our market, the price per square foot and extended the days on market.
Absolutely.
So that when I checked my statistical area this morning, We are at 107 days total from listing to closing. So that's 87 days on market plus the closing days to total up to 107 days for us in our market to close. And we're just under $165 a square foot from a
So that's
square footage.
the San Antonio area, not all of Texas.
No, I pulled it in specifically for all what's considered to be a residential. So that's condos, that's townhomes, that's garden homes, that's single residentials, those sort of things.
We're still a little better than you then. We're, I think, more like 46 days on market, and I did not recheck this morning. And yes, it's a buyer's market. And yes, we have to get sellers to understand that what their neighbor got 6 months to a year ago isn't going to happen. It doesn't matter. You have to that's like going to the grocery store the day the apples are no longer on sale. And you want them at the sale price. You got there a day late, So we are definitely in more of a negotiating pattern. And I am having to do a lot of work with sellers to convince them to take less than we listed for and less than what they thought they were going to get.
And that's bearing out in the statistical numbers that I looked at, because the variance from list price to sale price or final closing is about 6.2% down. So we're at 93.8 instead of 100%. So that is the market in which we are dealing. And if you listeners, if anybody has insight into what's going on in their area, we would love to hear from you specifically. As always, our contact information will be at the bottom of this. And there's somebody.
And so right before this started, you guys, Ken sent me a spreadsheet, and I'm like, I don't look at spreadsheets while we're on here. I go, that's Eric and you. And I'm the fun in the family. And the energy,
please.
but not the spreadsheet. So Ken, tell us what's going on and what made you talk about this.
Okay, so first thing, just because Elizabeth was driving by, Elizabeth being my wife for all you listeners out there, Elizabeth was driving by and saw a piece of property a couple of weeks ago. And we happened to call our realtor who helped us buy our house here in the Chicago area. So I happen to know, because when we were on the phone with him, he said, we're running at about 32 days here. So we're still pretty tight from listing.
32 days from listing to contract.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And where are you at specifically? You're in Northern Illinois, west of Chicago, right?
About 45 miles due west of Chicago.
And so did he do just Geneva in your area, or did he do kind of the suburbs around there?
He was doing the area that he supports when he said that, I would presume is what he was talking about, and he does sell a pretty broad area. But it was funny, you guys said it, and I just happened to have that number in my head because of the odd circumstance of us seeing a piece of land and thinking, ooh, maybe build.
Oh, stop it. Don't move again. You're just getting it together, for God's sake.
That's exactly what Elizabeth and I finally concluded. So we're not moving. We are sick of packing and unpacking, so it's not going to happen. But let me talk to you about the stats, because I know we have limited time here, and you guys know that my two siblings will be the first to raise their hand and say, Ken is long-winded. If you can tell a story in 5 words, I take 50. Okay, we know that going in. So this all started actually on one of your markets on the 8th, maybe a year ago. And Eric, I remember very distinctly you saying, this number makes no sense. It was some sort of published report, and it said the median value in Texas. And that was what triggered it. And you were like, that makes no sense. And as you discussed it, I was like, they have a mistaken image in your head about what median is. I'm going to give you as simple of explanations as I possibly can with this stuff. And I've actually asked Donna to give me some samples sample prices, and Donna, I'll let you describe that in a minute. But let me start off by saying different sets of data are best explained with different measures. All right. And in statistics, there are three that are used for what's called, and don't worry, there won't be a test on this. Statisticians call them the measures of central tendency. When I taught stats, I would say typical. If you look at a group of data, what's typical? Okay. So the mathematicians call them central tendency, and they all begin with the letter M, the mean, the median, and the mode. All right. The mean, we all know, is an average. That's the other name for it. And I remember Eric saying on one of the follow-up podcasts, you add them up, you divide to however many there are. Boom, done. The problem with that is that in certain sets of data, and housing happens to be one of them, if there's one that the fancy term that we usually use in statistics is outlier, one that doesn't fit, the average gets really funky. And you guys probably have some neighborhoods where you've been in where somebody goes in. I immediately think of Eric up on the mountain. Somebody buys 6 acres of land and puts in a 5,000 square foot home because they can. And all of a sudden, that one home on that piece of land up in the mountain blows the average up. Because when you add in that one high one, what you wind up is a whole group of homes over here, one way over here, and the average is like in the middle. And it doesn't represent anything of what's typical on the mountain. So average is not used in real estate. What is used is the median. And then we'll talk about the third one, the mode. We'll get rid of that really quick in a minute. But the median is take all your numbers and put them in order from smallest to largest. And the one in the middle is the median. Now, here's what's cool about that. If one of the small ones, now I asked Donna for 11. I said, I want it to be easy. I want 11 properties. So we got 11 properties. And Donna, why don't you describe where those properties came from and where you got the numbers from?
So I live in a subdivision of 57 townhomes. They were built in the 70s predominantly. And so I just went to the tax records and to Zillow, and I put down exactly what the square footage was. I sent you the square footage and the price that Zillow gave us. And then I gave you the two that have just sold, one that is on the market, and described those a little bit for you so that you could see what is actually happening versus what Zestimates are.
Right. So these are real prices for a real area, and it gives you an idea of it. And I specifically asked Donna for the middle, or 11, an odd number of properties, because when you're explaining the median, it's a whole lot easier to say, okay, start at the outside and you count until your fingers meet the middle, and it's the one in the middle. So if you put 11 numbers in order from smallest to largest, it's number 6.
Yeah.
5 below it, 5 above it. That's what the median is. Now, in the properties you sent me, and they range in size from 918 square foot to
1588.
Yeah, 1588 is the largest one.
Yep.
And that happens to be one of the odd ones out, and we'll explain that in a little bit. Donna made a note of it. It needs work. It's got a reverse mortgage. It's got a solar lease that hasn't been paid off, all sorts of things. But it also is the largest property, but also one of the lowest prices out of the 11 as far as the valuation. Sorry for looking down, but I'm looking at all my numbers on my phone so that I can talk about this.
It only matters on the video players.
It only matters on the video. Yep.
Just so you know, here's what we came up with. The mean, the average for those properties, $285,000, $255,000.
Okay.
So $285,255.
Yeah.
The median is 290, 300. So about $5,000 more. Now, here's the thing, though. If you take one of those properties, let's say you take that one that's $1,588 that you can get for the bargain price of $280,000, which, just so you guys know, let's see, the valuations run from 227 up to 335 across these 11 properties. So a little over $100,000. In that spread, if you take that one that was 280, which is just about in the middle.
Yeah.
But you do the updates on it and such, all of a sudden it could be worth like $350,000, $400,000.
Yep.
I actually did something. I also took the square footage. I figured out the dollar square footage, and I figured out what the median square footage is, the price per square foot.
Tell me what that is, because I'm going to tell you which one is my house. Go ahead.
Okay. The median square footage is 215. Now, this older house that needs all the updates right now is listed at $176 per square foot. Donna, you got a calculator handy there?
Yeah, I wouldn't even pay that for it, just so you know. I've been in it 3 times, and if it was me and I was going to buy it and flip it, I'd pay $250, just so you know.
Okay, but here's the thing. Let's say that you flipped it.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody bought it and was able to flip it and sell it at the median square footage price.
$341,420. $341,420 is what it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So it jumps. Now, when you do that, the median will shift. All right. Because the one in the middle shifts.
Yeah.
Because that house went from below the median to above the median. But the median is known to statisticians as being very resistant to change. And that's what you need when you're doing housing. Because otherwise, if you go in there and somebody takes that one house and puts $500,000 into it, I doubt they would do it with a townhome, but, you know, marble floors, gold,
those things,
gold, all the fixtures, you know, all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, it's way overpriced for the neighborhood. And what you as realtors are trying to do is give them a typical price for their neighborhood. But that neighborhood is really important there too. And that goes all the way back to that issue that got my attention on this when Eric said that median price for Texas makes no sense. Whenever you're looking at a group of data, statisticians call that group of data the population. And you have to define your population. If your population is every property throughout the state of Texas, a typical value to take the high-end neighborhoods. What's the most expensive neighborhood in San Antonio, Eric?
Probably the Dominion or in Aqua Springs, one of those two.
Okay, and they're what?
Couple
$2 million and up or something like that?
They can be. Yes.
Okay, so you got a $2 million home and you're comparing it to the guy who lives out in East Texas who has a 1,200 square foot home that was built in the 1930s that's a ramshackle that they sell for $75,000. Guess what? When you're comparing that broad of a range, you're going to get some weird numbers that are medians and such because the population is so broad rather. And that's where when you guys do a market comparison or you're looking for a comparative price for another property, you're looking at other properties that are the same size, sold relatively recently so that the market is similar, the demand is similar, all those things. That's what you're trying to do is narrow that population. And when you start getting into broad groups of data, all bets are off because you wind up with significantly different values for the median or the average, the mode, the median, the median, and the mode. And that's another little tidbit Okay. When all three of those numbers are the same, that's when you have a bell curve. If you don't have all those, you're not going to have a bell curve. And it's probably very rare that you have a bell curve in the market, because there's always a lot more of the lower end homes or the entry level price homes versus the $1 million homes.
So Ken,
they're just not as many of them.
I want to interject here based on a couple of things you've said. First of all, do you know which one on that list is my house?
Do I know which one?
7355. So it had my house at 299, 300 or something like that.
299.6.
299.6. So I just did and I think my square footage is 1386. I multiplied it by the 215 and I got 297,990. So
1398 is the number that.
Okay. I just know it's around 1400. So you can tell statistics matter to me a lot. But what's interesting is everything in my house, I have a custom kitchen that was built after my roof leak. Both bathrooms were redone. The only thing not replaced in my house at this point is the carpet in the bedrooms and the hot water heater. And my plumber just keeps saying, your hot water heater's in the building outside. If it breaks, it's going to run down and water the plants. Don't replace it unless you have to. But I know that if I was to put mine on the market, I would probably list it for like that one that I told you just sold for $335. It was a total flip. And I don't know what they paid for it, but it isn't as big as mine. It doesn't have the third bedroom, things like that. And so I know I would probably list it for about $330, even though in all of this, it says $299, which is the other thing that I think Eric and I and every other realtor and then buyer and seller has to figure out, regardless of what the numbers are, what does the house look like? And Ken, I think you mentioned Eric being up in the hills, in the hill country and being there a long time. And I remember when you put that big wraparound deck on your house, how you had to finance it and stuff like that. So you guys, Ken bought a home in Illinois that I think is about the age of the one we grew up in. It's from the 1800s, right, Ken?
Off by 1 year. Yep. From the difference for the house. This house has a plaque on the outside that says the core of the house. And we've had an addition. There was an addition put on at some point. We don't know when and everything, but the core of the house, 1869.
Okay. So in Geneva, Illinois, you chose to buy an old house that you were updating, not unlike our father did, right? And when Eric bought his house, it was a manufactured home that got moved to the top of the mountain, right? It was new. And you have a unique, I love your primary bedroom and bathroom. I wish I could have that.
The best friend bathrooms.
The best friends, yes. And then I have a 1979, which has been mostly updated. So, Ken, in your market, in your area, if you do all the things you say you're going to do, and I'm saying that tongue in cheek, if it all gets done, that
now that you're going to be so old, what did we decide? 65?
What will that do to the value of your house? Short of making it what you want, what do you think that will do to the value of your home?
Given the area that we live in, which is a very desirable, it's a very desirable suburb of Chicago. I think if we actually did everything that we have dreamed of, I don't know if we even told you, Donna, when you visited, all of the dreams that we have.
I know about that whole upstairs bedroom scenario.
So the first thing we're doing is we're changing a screened-in porch to a 4-season room. That's going to add 400 square feet.
Okay.
Boom. So that immediately will bump it up, and that is going to, at the same time, expand the kitchen. And we all know kitchens and bathrooms are the big thing. So we update that and update the kitchen. Oh, gosh, I think that could easily add $75,000 to the value of the home right off the top.
But what do you think your investment is going to be?
Right. And are you, I think people need to know that you do a lot of work yourself. You are the one of my brothers who can do some things, get it and get it done. So yeah, what do you think you'll have in?
I don't know if Dan listens, but I always say Dan's the one who had to have the instruction book with the hammer. So I'm being a little on the low end with the 75.
Okay.
Because I think by the time we put it in, we could invest up to 75,000 in it.
Right.
Because we're going to put nice windows in. We had a contractor out the other day, and he said, you need to put every penny you can into this veranda because they built it right. And that was back in 93, which is really nice to hear when you're used to construction grade stuff, which is not meant to say anything about construction companies, but let's be honest, if you're building 4,700 homes, you're going to get a bulk price and the cheapest thing. Everybody gets the same lights, the same appliances, the same, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see 75 to 100,000 just by doing that. And then creating a master suite downstairs will be a huge thing. That will add a bunch more to it. I think we could come pretty close to doubling the value of the house if we do everything we've dreamed of, because it involves new bathrooms, adding a half bath, making a downstairs ensuite with a huge walk-in closet, this new veranda with an open concept.
Okay, I'm going to be your sister, and I'm going to stop you.
We need to explain mode.
Don't overinvest.
I want to ask Eric a question about his place, because you have just redone your kitchen. You are the person that has to have the wells that build an outside shed, whereas Ken and I are living with city water and things like that. Do you have any idea, when you did the kitchen recently, was that an insurance claim, or did you guys just choose to do it?
It was an insurance claim, and the insurance didn't cover much.
Oh, okay. And so when you've done the deck, you've added your own, whatever you've done was, I can't remember what all you did.
With everything that had to be done, or it had to be, ended up being a mandatory rebuild. It was not something that we just said, hey, let's change out the cabinets. It's time to change out these counters. We had the mold remediation aside.
Yeah.
That entire event cost us, for a bathroom rebuild, kitchen, and some bathroom wall area, ended up being $45,000. The insurance claim ended up covering enough so they paid for the new countertops.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
After everything, and the countertops were almost $6,000 for a solid surface, with the island and the little peninsula and the sink and those kind of things.
Yeah. So because of where you live and how in the 20 some years you've been there, you're outside. I always say I'm going to San Antonio. I'm not going to San Antonio.
Correct.
Right. And it's grown tremendously on the way there and everything. And you've seen it. Do you feel like over time that all the things that you've done will also not just break even for you, but financially that your property has gained value?
Yes.
Because you live right where somebody could put that 5,000 square foot house like Ken said.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The land, the stuff that we've done. Last time I ran a number, we did the original land, the house, construction, electric, septic, well, all of it. All of it at one time was about $190,000, 20 some years ago. And the last time I ran everything, we're just under $500,000 if we put it on the market.
Yeah. Part of the reason that I ask that is because we talk about here stats, but lifestyle. We have all chosen a different lifestyle. You have chosen a hilltop in the hill country. Our brother Dan moved out of town after 30 years in town and has a big house overlooking a lake. Ken and his wife have gone to a suburb of Chicago, but chosen an old house that's going to be updated. and I live in a townhouse that's kind of a lock and go. So the money we spend also contributes to the lifestyle.
Reflects our lifestyle, no question. So I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And you said you were going to touch on mode. Give us a quick rundown of what you've done. Spent most of the time on median. What's the mode?
The mode is the value that occurs most often.
Say that again. Oh, the mode is the value that occurs most often. Is that what you said?
Yes, that occurs most often. So in the set of data, this is why it's almost useless for real estate. What's the chances that you'll pull 25 properties and that 2 of them will even have the same price? Now, Donna, in the set of data that you sent me, 2 of them had the same price. I wonder if that's because you accidentally sent the same one twice.
Yeah.
Because it surprised me. You know, what are the chances that you're going to list and go out there and find 2 houses that are different square footages, but have the exact same listing price?
Yeah.
You know, and you can use as comps. Very rare.
Those are new builds.
The only thing that the mode helps you do, like I said, is when the mode, the median, and the mean are all the same value, that's the dead center of your bell curve.
Of a perfect bell curve.
Yeah, as compared to long.
Of a perfect bell curve. And I'll wrap up, you know, if all these numbers and talking about it has been funky to think about, I'll go back to the analogy that I gave Eric at the very beginning when we first talked about this on the phone. All of us, at least, are at an age where back in elementary school, in gym, they'd say, line up by height from the shortest to the tallest. And there's always one kid in the middle, right? Half of the kids are one side and the other half are on the other side, but there's one kid in the middle. That's the median.
That's the median.
That's the typical. Now, here's the thing.
Ken, you got a minute. 1 minute. Go.
The group of kids to the one side, the tall side is probably mostly boys. To the short side is probably mostly girls. Mostly, not always. But then think about it. There's always that one kid who gets the growth spurt on the tall side and suddenly is like 4 inches taller than everybody else.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the height of the person in the middle. But if you take an average or the mean, yeah, that can mess with it.
Look at it.
So median is what you use, and that's why the median is so important to your real estate, because it's a better representative value of what's typical within your market.
Awesome.
And your market is your population, as the statisticians call it.
All righty, Eric.
So
take us out.
We're here to communicate, educate, elucidate. What was it?
That's your brother's job. Go, Eric. Go.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Ken. Thanks for jumping in and joining us on this. Now your voice will live forever, just like ours will. We do not brush it off or overlook the fact that you, as our listeners, have taken time to join us today. We sincerely appreciate that in joining us on this latest version of Markets on the 8th. As we conclude, we are hopeful that our insights will help you make better choices and be better informed on your next real estate transaction. Our goal here is to help you find the perfect home for you to build your wonderful life. As a reminder, both Donna and I are realtors with Keller Williams. Donna's in Tucson, Arizona. I'm in the San Antonio, Texas, and the Texas Hill Country. We are happy to help you if you need help in this area. And as a reminder, we also have connections all across the United States and all over the world. Reach out to us. Let us do the difficult work and find the perfect realtor to help connect you with. Remember, it may be simple, ain't always easy. I'm Eric.
I'm Donna.
And we are Real Siblings. There you go, Ken. You're in on it. Woohoo!
Wow, that was great. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to hit stop.
That's it.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah.
Val, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and websites. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.